Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out my broadcast today. If this is your first time checking out one of my broadcasts, my name is Jonathan. A little bit about me. I am 39 years old, married, and have a few kids. I have been overweight my whole life. And last year in November, I decided that I needed to do something about it. So I started this challenge. I tried to take things from diets that I've done over the years. Just like a lot of people, I've tried many different types of diets to try to lose weight. And some of them I've had success with losing the weight, but none of them I didn't have any success keeping the weight off with any of the diets I did in the past. So I created this challenge for myself with two main goals in mind. The big goal was that I wanted to stick with this for longer than I'd ever done any diet before. And so I decided that I needed to focus on my health and make this a priority and to do it every day for 3 years. And so on November 1st, that's when I started my challenge for 3 years, and today is day 251. The other big goal that I had in mind was that I wanted to lose enough weight that I would be considered a healthy weight or healthier weight. Many times when I tried to diet, I would be at 400 pounds and I'd be like, I want to get to 300 pounds, or I would be at, just like I would try to lose 100 or 75 pounds to get to what I thought was a healthier weight or a weight that I would be able to walk around and be happy with. And a lot of times I'd hit those goals and I'd be at my goal. I'd be excited that I hit my goal. I'd be feeling great. I'd be looking great. But really, at the end of the day, I was still pretty far away from being healthy. And so that's why I decided that I needed to get down to a much healthier weight than I've ever been before. And that's why I set my goal to lose 300 pounds. And so far, I've had great success. I started this challenge off with a 30-day water fast that I ended up turning into a 42-day, 1,000-hour water fast. Over the course of that time, I went from 519 pounds down to 429 pounds, losing just a little over 90 pounds in that 42-day period. After that, or at the time, I didn't know it, but when I started the fast, I knew that I needed to figure out what I was going to do at the end of the fast, and I was going to use the time that I was fasting to figure that out. And over the course of those 42 days, I found a lot of information and benefits on a whole food plant-based diet. So I have switched to a whole food plant-based diet, and through a combination of that and a little bit more extended fasting, I've been able to lose another 100 pounds in the last pretty much 8 months. So things have been going great. If if I'd have known that they'd be going this well when I started, I would have been a lot more excited about starting too, I suppose. But yeah, like I said, things are going great. And if anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to see those. If anybody has any other questions or anything, whether you're watching this live or on a replay, I love interacting with people and seeing if there's something I can do to help people get through any struggles that they have, because that's kind of it's such a hard everybody runs into different situations and different scenarios that cause different stressors. And so I just want to try to create a place where maybe we can help you out. So for me, I haven't been on since Wednesday when I weighed in and I lost an amazing 5.8 pounds in the last week. It's really awesome to see a huge weight loss like that. For me, the previous week wasn't such a great weight loss, so it was nice to kind of make up for that last week. And I'm sure that with the way my scale works, it was probably a combination of me losing 5.2 the previous week, and then 5.8 last week, and I probably lost a little bit more the previous week. The scale just didn't show it or whatnot. Who knows? But anyways, I hope everybody's had luck with their diets and, you know, been doing great since Wednesday. I was fairly busy. I had some meetings, and like I've said in, you know, the last few videos, July is my busy month. And so for me, it is the it's tough for me to find a lot of times to working out, which is killing me because I am only like 8 days away from the Sprint Triathlon. So I'm going to have to get out and do something tonight and probably every day this weekend. I've been happy with how things are going when I do get out and train, and I'm happy with the progress that I feel like I'm making towards being able to run faster, because that's where I think I have my most apprehension. The swimming is going to be difficult, and it's going to take a long time for me to swim that distance. And the biking is going to be difficult, but the running is the one of the biggest places where I feel like, you know, my feet will give out before my mind gives out. You know, I feel like with swimming, I can swim slow. With biking, I can bike slow, but walking and staying on my own feet, I think that, you know, that's what I've been trying to improve, is just, you know, my ability to run or move quickly, or, you know, stay on my feet. And it's really been incredible noticing the difference in my in the way I walk and how I run. I've had a lot of foot issues over the course of the 9 months that I've been doing this. And just to recap what my foot issues have been, if you haven't, is right after I completed the 42-day fast, I started to refeed, and something during that time happened in my ankles. And, you know, I don't believe that I had changed anything with my shoes. Maybe I did go a day or two wearing different shoes, and maybe that's what happened right around the time that I started refeeding. But right at that time in December, I was in a position where my feet hurt so much that I could barely walk, and I ended up using crutches for a day or so. And then I kind of got over that. I don't know. Yeah, so then I got over that and started to try to become more active, and I started doing walks in the morning for a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the evening. Over the course of a few weeks, I started to notice pain in my ankles again, and it got to a point where I had to use crutches again because I could not put any weight on my right ankle. After that point, I did schedule a doctor's appointment, and it took a couple weeks for the doctor to even see me. So by the time I got there, I was kind of like, well, it doesn't really hurt as much as it did. And so the only solution that he really had for me was to do a cortisone shot, and I ended up turning it down because I was trying to figure out what's going on. I want to figure out what's wrong with my ankle, and it wasn't hurting near as bad then, you know, as it had been 2 weeks prior. 2 weeks prior, if he'd have said we can, you know, if he'd have got me in and said we can do a cortisone shot, I might have done it at that time, but I chose not to. But what I did do at that time was then I decided I really needed to look into my shoes and see if maybe that was my issue. I was under the assumption that the shoes that I was wearing when I was very overweight, that had a very strong insole, were the best shoes for me because they were therapeutic shoes and they were comfortable. But I had worn them for a long time, and then found out over time that it wore the outside of the shoes wore out, but the inside of the shoes didn't, which was causing me to be walking in a stride that wasn't normal. You know, it was like walking on a hill, you know, and so the so I got new shoes, and then I kind of actually pinned down what happened the previous time. Is the second time my feet hurt, I had worn a pair of Hey Dude shoes for a day, which their shoes have like no sole, they're flat, they're not, you know, there's no insole support on them at all. And I believe wearing those over Easter weekend is what caused my issues in my feet, because my feet just weren't, because they had to, it was so drastically different between having the support and not having the support. And so, anyways, I'm going on here. I got new shoes. I really like the shoes. They were Hoka shoes. They have a very thick sole and they do an amazing job absorbing anything. And I think that is what I needed at the time, was just something that I could walk on that would allow my feet to change. You know, I mean, it was like at the store when I was trying the shoe on, I put on the Hoka shoes, and like the first few steps, I felt multiple bones in my ankle like pop, like that they were bound up, and I felt relief with those shoes. But now that I've gotten into running, and or I was starting to get into running here, um, I've really gone on long here, but years ago, me and Carrie used to wear Vibram 5-finger shoes, or the minimalist shoes, and I really enjoyed them. They reminded me a lot. I used to wear shoes that were real thin soled for wrestling, and I like the feel of the shoes. I feel like it is a better way, or a better shoe for natural, like walking how you're supposed to walk, I guess, because there's no cushion. It is nice. There is a sole to the shoe so you don't cut your feet up. But the I intentionally, once I started to run, I did a 5K and I realized that I don't know how to run. Well, when I was wearing the Hoka shoes, and I want to get more into running, and so I was kind of looking at the minimalist shoes, and kind of seeing that, you know, they talk about how if you go from regular shoes to minimalist shoes, you end up having to learn how to run differently because of those shoes, because you don't have the big heel support. You can't land hard on your heel with barefoot shoes or minimalist shoes, so you have to run more on your midfoot or the front of your foot. And so I was kind of like, well, I got to teach myself how to run anyways. There's no point in learning how to run with tennis shoes on and then turning around and reteaching myself how to run with the barefoot shoes. So I bought the barefoot shoes, and that's how I've done all of my In fact, a lot of people recommend transitioning into barefoot shoes and wearing them for an hour, or, you know, running in them a little bit and then wearing your other shoe. I didn't do that at all. I jumped in both feet, like walked out of the shoe store, got into my car, swapped the Hokas off my feet, put these Vivo barefoot, what are they? The Vivo Vapor Glove 5 shoes on my feet. I have not put the Hokas back on my feet. The only other shoes I've worn other than these shoes are the pair of Hey Dude shoes, because they are closer to what's called a zero drop shoe, which means that the heel and the toe is at a flat level. There's not a thicker heel than there is a toe where the toe box is. So anyways, I've noticed that I haven't done a big run yet. I'm hoping to run tonight for a while, but I've noticed I've been trying to walk faster from point A to point B. That was something that I kind of really noticed when I did the 10K, is that I'm a very slow runner, which means I'm an even slower walker. And there's people that can walk as fast as I can run. So I would like to be at the point where I'm walking as fast as I can currently run. So I've kind of been paying attention to it consciously, when I walk around or when I'm doing a short tasks going from like here to 50 yards away. I try to do it a little bit quicker or make sure that I'm focused on being on my toes more, because when you're walking barefoot or with these shoes, you can still walk with, heel striking, and it doesn't hurt as much. But to run with them would be much more difficult than that. So anyways, I don't know what got me talking about the running or just how much. Yeah, it's just I'm happy with how my running is improving, and I anticipate that it is going to get better. Um, but I definitely need to probably do one of each of the events this weekend: run, bike for a long time, and swim for a considerable distance or time. I got my swim set up all together. I am running into an issue with getting a replacement filter for the swimming pool. And so it has been a little bit green in the water. It's not appealing to go swimming in the water. It probably would not be anything wrong with it. But also the outside temperatures has been really cold and rainy the last couple days. So which is also probably attributing or contributing to the greenness of the pool itself. So, but yeah, so I'm going to try to do those trainings this weekend. I, I, I'm in such a weird spot with my diet now. I'm at day 251. I am really in what I think I'm going to look back, and it's just going to be the grind of it, or like just the day to day of it. There's no, I mean, having that huge weight loss Wednesday, um, really it is, it's crazy how little, like in the moment it's great. And I'm happy that I lost the weight, but I'm not like, that's not common. That's not going to be common. I'm not anticipating losing 5.8 pounds this next week. If I lose any weight this next week, I'll be surprised I may gain weight. But that's what's going to happen when you have a number like a 5-pound loss happen in the middle of a weight loss. That, like when I started this, in the first 7 days, I lost over 30 pounds, which is just crazy. And in the first 40 days, I lost 90. And obviously, I did things a little different than most people are going to do them. But any diet that you go on, you're going to see great, weight loss results. Early on for those first couple months. And so it's really been, that's when it's easy once you get started. And once you get a week in or 2 weeks in, like the numbers are really confidence boosters. The way you feel is a big confidence booster. And just the newness of the diet is all things that help keep the diet going when you first get started, and then now I'm in this grind, but it's also weird for me too, because in other diets, I would have been done at this point. I had never got myself. I mean, I was 100 pounds heavier when I started this diet than I really was when I ever started any diet that I really stuck with. So for me, I go back, or I talk about my diet from 2012 or 13, and I lost 130 pounds. I started at 415. I got down to 385, 390. And I was at that point, it took me about the same amount of time where I'm at now to get to that point. And that's at the time when I hit 285 pounds. I saw it on a scale. I know I hit 285 or below. And that was the beginning of the end of that diet. That was, I hit my goal and I got this figured out. I beaten the demons, and very confident and very, uh, like I had it. And then 3 months later, I'm eating buffets and fast food and everything, and I think that what happens in those scenarios too is that after losing the 120 pounds, you get a little overconfident in your ability to have control over it. You sit there and you say, I've beaten this demon for 9 months. One day isn't going to hurt me, and it did. It does. One day did hurt me. I mean, it was, I can't remember the specific thing where and well, the problem with that diet is that was a all calorie restricted diet that had no diet restrictions. So I was eating junk while losing weight. I was just eating very little amount of food. And, that's kind of what probably sparked my confidence that I could do fasting, is when I look back at the food that I was consuming during that 9-month period. None of it was probably that close to actual food in the end of it. And so it wasn't that far from fasting. But anyways, hello, I have a quick question. Did you fast before or after you went plant-based? I'm guessing you're going to ask me. Is that what that's going to say? I fasted before I went plant-based. I found out about plant-based while I was fasting. For salt-free. Okay. So I went, so I guess the best way, maybe this is what you're trying to, so when I did the 42-day fast, when I did that fast, I took electrolyte supplements during that fast. It was probably fairly regular at the beginning of the fast, and then it got sporadic towards the middle, and then the last 10 days of the fast, I didn't really take much in the way of electrolytes because I had a flavored powder I was using, and I didn't enjoy the flavor anymore. So we didn't, and when I went into the fast, I hadn't even decided what diet I was going to do. I had dreams of doing some sort of paleo, maybe like a carnivore keto. But I also knew that those diets really didn't work for me because I had done some of them in the past, but I thought, maybe this time would be different. So, it wasn't until that I was fasting, and then I came across information about the True North Clinic, the Pleasure Trap book, and that's when we decided to go to a whole food plant-based diet with no salt, oil, or sugar. So I never ate plant-based and had salt, oil, and sugar. And so there was and then I did fasted 42 days, switched to a whole food plant-based diet. And I guess it kind of is on the screen a little bit that explains, but we did 2 months, and then I did a 10-day fast, but I only drank distilled water in that 10-day fast. I didn't drink any electrolyte powders. I didn't take any supplements. I just did a 10-day distilled water fast. And then after that, switched back to a whole food plant-based diet. So yeah, that was a long answer to your quick question. But yeah, so anyways, I was talking about kind of, the beginning of it was in a honeymoon, and now it's getting to a point where it's dragging on and on and on, but it's not the time, it's not the diet that is dragging on for me. I'm happy with the diet. It's the still being fat that is dragging on and on and on. I and it's mostly, it's got to be because of the volume of food I eat, but I've never been more confident that I could sustain a diet that I'm on. And the only limits that I'm finding for me in this diet right now is my inability to source foods that fit the diet, or my inability to prepare food for myself. I rely heavily on Carrie to take care of dinners, and she makes a lot more of the complex meals. I can pull some things off. I've made the salad dressing, and I've worked and done recipes, but they're not made this as well as she does. But that's my difficulty with the diet is either making the food myself, or finding, like, if I am in a situation where I need to take care of dinner for myself, that is, I can't just go and grab something on the way home. I can. I mean, I do, like, I can go and I go to the grocery store and I find stuff, and then I have to either eat the fruits as they are, or like for lunch today, I had just a can of corn, just a single item uh meal. And so, um, but anyways, so it's not the diet that's dragging on. It's the diet. I'm confident that as long as I can continue to eat multiple pounds of food a day, that I will be able to sustain the diet long term. It was something I've seen reference. The only time I've seen it referenced is from YouTube person named Chef AJ, who she does a ton of stuff about whole food, plant based. But she said, she had mentioned a study, and again, I haven't looked into the study, but that people eat based off of weight of food more so than they eat calories of food. So I believe the number she said is that people eat between 3 and 5 pounds of food. It's just up to the person eating the food to try to make each of those pounds as low in calorie as possible. Um, and so that's why I feel that that I can sustain this diet better than any other diet. That diet that I lost 130 pounds on, I was taking, I started the diet off by doing injections of something into my stomach. I can't remember what it was. And then after that, I started taking a phentermine prescription that I would take like half a pill a day, or maybe half a pill twice a day. And then I was eating just bare bone calories. And I felt like I was getting it done and I was doing it right and I had it figured out. And now in hindsight, I'm looking back and I'm like, God, I was just, those pills were just bandaging my cravings for food. It wasn't getting actual rid of my need for food. Just getting rid of the cravings for food, so that once I stopped taking those pills, that's really the catalyst of what caused me, is that you could only take the pills for a certain amount of time before they wanted you to take a time off. Calorie density really opened my eyes to how easy dieting is on plant-based. It really, yeah. I mean, I, yeah, it's a weird, because the, it's stuff that I wouldn't have thought about. It's stuff, something like that isn't a concept that I would have gotten behind before or understood. The calorie density, the eating the high volume, low calorie foods. It was, to me, I was trying to figure out, in fact, I had this thought earlier today. It was about how, like, I used to think about like high calorie foods and try to convince myself that, like, because we're able to make high calorie, like, and really, so specific. I guess I could boil down like the cheese. A slice of cheese is really what I used to, or what I would call a superfood. Like it's not a super good for you food, but I use, but but it's the number of calories that they can produce in that slice of bread, or not slice, that slice of cheese is far greater than you're going to find in nature in anything else. And so, like I said, I used to try to think of it as a way, like being like, well, maybe it's the fact that that one cheeseburger has 1,200 calories, that's like a calorie bomb, and they are eh, uh and that's, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with it, but it's just weird, like, because we don't I had never been taught calorie density. I had never been told that people eat pounds of food. Like, if you just said, hey, if you eat 3 pounds of food, you'll be satisfied no matter what the contents of those 3 pounds are, then yeah, I would have eaten healthier food. Like, but that was never presented to me that way. It was just that you need to eat this many calories, or you need to stay under this many calories. It was never about satisfying your body's need to consume, and your body, like, I don't know. And there's so much science behind it that I can't get into all of it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. The um so yeah, I'm day 251. I have a lot of days left. Like, I'm not even 25% of the way through this whole thing either, like the whole time that I've set aside. So it's just kind of one of those things where, like I was starting to say, is that it's the fact that I'm still 328.2 pounds that's the most frustrating thing about this, because I feel like I've figured out the the key to the nutrition for me. I feel like um there's the hardest parts for me is going to be uh being patient. That's part of the reason why I jumped in to do this triathlon, because I wanted to speed up the weight loss, and now I'm kicking myself in the butt because I got to show up and do this triathlon next weekend. um but yeah, I need to be patient, and um and it's gonna eventually, it's gonna happen, like, and it's crazy that it just happened. It's just every week I'm continuing to go down, and um again, the only thing that I worry about is getting in a position where I can't find something, and I've used this and whatever. It's because I fasted, I do have more confidence that I can make it a little bit longer than I used to think I could make it before eating again. If it's so for me, it's I'm able to have that mindset that I can just wait so that I can make sure that I'm getting something that is what's on my diet. And yeah, it's just a weird thing having this type of diet, you know. So that I guess I just wanted to talk about how that, that's kind of the what I feel like I'm in a funk with, is just kind of wishing that it was happening quicker, and knowing that it didn't go on me that quick. I mean, I might have gained 5 pounds or 5 pounds in a few weeks, I'm sure, but the it was a slow process getting up there. It's going to be a slow process getting back down. I kind of went on here a little bit longer than I expected now that I'm looking at the clock, but I do appreciate you guys checking out my video. If you haven't checked out my video already, or I'm sorry, thank you for checking out my video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. Click on that little icon there. Turn on notifications so you'll get alerted when I do go live. I will be live Monday next week. I don't see anything getting in the way of that, but I don't know anything past that point. I'm pretty confident that I'm definitely going to do Wednesday or be on weigh-in Wednesday. And right now I don't have anything that's getting in the way, but that doesn't mean that something won't come up and get in the way. So if yeah, so I will talk to you guys on Monday. I hope you guys all have a really good weekend. And if you haven't started a diet, there's no reason not to get started right now. Whatever you got going on. In fact, I was looking up that today. Let me see if I can get it to right now. Right now, the next national holiday is Labor Day. It's 59 days away. If you started your diet this second, by Labor Day, you'd be 59 days into your diet. No reason not get started right now. And because every second that you waste, a year from now, you're going to be looking back going, I should have started. That's one of the things I think about all the time. You know, I started this on November 1st. I scheduled to start this thing on November 1st. And I'm like, shoot, if I'd have started this on October 15th, I'd be another 4 or 5 pounds lighter. I'd be a little bit further on my way. So anyways, if you haven't started a diet, get started right now. I really recommend looking at a whole food plant-based diet. You can't say you've done every diet, you've tried every fad, you've given everything a chance if you haven't done a whole food plant-based diet. And I'm guessing that if you're watching this and you're obese and you've tried all those diets, you haven't tried a whole food plant-based diet. So get started and look into it. And if you're on a diet, keep going. I'm right there with you. I'm going and I'm going to keep going. It seems like it's going to take forever, but slowly I'm seeing I've seen great progress so far, and I'm slowly seeing things get better day to day. So again, you guys all have a wonderful weekend, and we will be back on Monday.